Namaste. Let's explain a little bit about your body and how it works and what it is. So there are two parts to you. The first is consciousness, an inherent intelligence, knowledge that sits within every single one of your cells, which we know as spirit, soul, consciousness. The other is the human body. The human body is influenced by a brain that has an animal brain. It's called a brainstem, which is the same brain that is within animals. And it is within this system that your instinctual system sits. So here is where your respiratory system, anything that's automatic that you don't have to consciously think about, your breath, your heartbeat. Think about it. If you had to consciously think about breathing all the time, you would probably be dead very fast because you wouldn't be able to think about anything else. And then there's your thinking brain. But the human body, its instinctual brain, is what gives rise to our instinct to eat, to drink, to sleep, to have sex. The entire human form is set up to survive. And all those things that we do to survive, eat, drink, sex, excrete, all of those things are pleasurable. Because if they weren't pleasurable, we wouldn't do them. And once again, we would die very quickly. It is not who we are. We weren't ever really supposed to live above and beyond those instinctual behaviors. They are there just to survive. And whenever we live in excess of it, we are putting a burden on our body. So for example, if we eat too much, if we eat above and beyond just surviving, we put a lot of pressure on our digestive system and our gut because it's working more than it needs to and it's using a lot of energy. So if I go back a bit, in Chinese medicine, they believe that we are born with a finite amount of energy and that energy is in your kidneys. But we also have a spleen which works with our stomach and our liver to produce extra yin, extra yang, extra energy through food and breath. In a lot of yogic paths, there's a belief that you're born with a certain amount of breaths, and when those breaths are done, you're kaput, which makes sense because if you're breathing slower, you're in your calmer system, you're more responsive, you're less likely to be stressed, you're more likely to live longer. If you're breathing very quickly, you're in your sympathetic nervous system, you're stressed, your body is burdening itself, and you will die faster. So when we live in excess of anything that is part of the human form, which is not us, it's just a form that is carrying us, our essence, our soul. Think of it like you're the driver and this is the car, and how well you maintain the car will determine how long you have the car. If you abuse it, overuse it, it'll die faster. Same thing with water. If you drink too much water, it's a burden on your kidneys, same as if you drink too little water. It's also the same with sex. Too much sex means you're having orgasms, which is one of the largest dumpers of energy in our body, as well as periods, breastfeeding, having babies. So our entire body, the way it was set up in its natural form by the laws of nature, is always seeking to be in balance. It's always seeking to survive, which is why it has a nervous system which is sympathetic and parasympathetic. And that sympathetic nervous system kicks in when you literally have to survive, but when you're not literally surviving, so I don't mean like I have to have that phone, that car, then when you're in then you move into your calming system where healing happens and your body goes back to being able to function as it does. Your digestive system, your circulatory system, all those systems come back on board and start to work. So understand that a lot of concepts of when we say, this is who I am, I like to smoke, this is who I like to drink. Actually, all those things are just desires. They're all instinctual systems that were set up for you to survive. They were not set up to define who you are. Is a reason why when we turn 40s, 50s, that our body starts to shut down certain systems. In women, we go through menopause. It's not the death of men. It is the pause of menses. It is the pause of the things that cause us to lose the most amount of energy. So periods, giving babies, breastfeeding. And it starts to happen around this age because your spleen, which worked with your stomach and your lungs to produce extra energy, now starts to wither away. And as a result of it, you really struggle to produce extra energy. So now you're using the finite energy that is in your kidneys, which when they're done, you're kaput. There's a reason why men's testosterone levels start to decline as well, because what it's doing is it's not trying to punish you. And if you've attached who you are to sex, to having a baby, to all of that, then yes, you are going to suffer because you've attached yourself to systems that are shutting down to survive, to allow you to live longer. And so the reason we go through menopause and eventually for women our vaginas start to dry up, we lose the sexual drive, is because we're conserving our energy so we can live longer and live healthier. It's the same thing in men. So be aware of what you're attaching who you are to what. You know, who you are is just an essence that is really light and love and intelligence and knowledge. And everything else is just your human form. It's your car. And so when your car starts to shut down, maybe that's really not a good analogy here. It's not trying to survive, it's dead. But you know what I mean. What your body is trying to do is to preserve you. So don't try. Like what we do now is we take pills, we take Viagra, we take testosterone, we take this. What we're doing is we're burdening a system that's really trying to allow us to survive. So I wanted to just explain a little bit so you understand the mechanism of your body and why we say fast. Don't eat above and beyond what you need. Don't drink above and beyond what you need. Don't burden your organs. With sex, you know, change it more to intimacy. Intimacy creates energy. It doesn't dump it. But the problem in our world is we've attached so much of who we are to sex, and that is another longer story of the story of sex, especially for women. How we've taken it for a survival mechanism, and it is a survival mechanism because in order for us to survive, we have to procreate, to something where we've attached so much of who we are to it. And we've distorted that story a lot by that narrative that men instinctually want sex, women don't. So not true. How would we create if we didn't instinctually want sex? But we'll have that conversation longer, another day. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a taster and understanding of what is your instinctual system. Why is there desire attached to it? Well, if we didn't have a desire to eat or to drink water, once again, it would be kaput. We would die. It's why all these systems come with pleasure and desire. It's not for us to live in them in excess. It's actually for us to survive. Namaste. Have a beautiful day. Bye.